Go ahead.
Okay, I am Jim Slaughter, your host today. We are here at NRB and interviewing a lot of very important people or people in important places and doing some really great things. I have with me today Mark Hancock. Mark, I'm so excited to have you, mainly because of background commonalities, at least in our families and everything. And you're representing an organization called Trail Life. And this is something that I've become at least introduced to because of my interest in the Boy Scout organization before this. And I was very much a part of that. My brothers were a part of that. Nephews were a part of that. But that organization has changed, seriously changed over the last decade or so. And so a lot of people are looking for other alternatives, and Trail Life provides a really great alternative to what used to be Boy Scouts and isn't anymore.
Yeah, it's really kind of sad, particularly for families that have a history in scouting, because we have over 100 years of an organization that did a great job of giving us generals and presidents and civic leaders and senators and community leaders just suddenly decide that they were going to abandon the things that really helped
their
to
values,
to that
their
success.
philosophy, everything was abandoned. Right.
And we were a scouting family, and that my boys were in Boy Scouts, and I was a homeschool dad, so we didn't drop boys in anything. So I attended, but I sat in the back of the room, never joined the organization. Mm-hmm. But as a family, we really enjoyed that. When I did all camping with my boys, and the summer camps and things like that, and we really enjoyed that. So. We went through denial. We went through a period of depression when these changed because I had to sit down with my sons, which is really tragic, Jim. Sit down with my sons and say, we just can't do this anymore. Yeah. But about 300 volunteers across the country met through LinkedIn, different forums, and started talking about doing something about this. Yeah. And out of those volunteers rose Trail Life USA. And now, of course, we're all in all 50 states. We're in over 900 churches. We've had 40,000 members. Oh, really? And just growing like a weed because parents are appreciating the character and leadership opportunities for their sons, and the boys are loving the adventure.
We were with my brothers doing a family thing last week, and I mentioned Trail Life. We were talking about scouts and stuff like that, and my brother is an elder at his church in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he said, we do that. We have Trail Life in our church, and it's great. It's growing, and it's a very important part of our church organization, our church ministry. And so I thought, that's really neat to hear, that they've embraced that, and I am so glad to hear that it's going well, and that you're God is using you and is basically spreading you out to embrace a whole maybe generation of young people.
Yeah, it really is. In our culture today, there's very few organizations that are focused on boys. Mm-hmm. We say we're Christ-centered, we're boy-focused. Some people say, what's the difference between you and Boy Scouts? You have handbooks and guidebooks and troops and patrols, and you go out hiking and you camping and you do all these outdoor things. You have a robust awards program. You have a very high award in your program, just like boys. What's the difference? I said, well, there's two very significant differences. One, we are Christ-centered, and the other is we're boy-focused. We believe, Jim, and this is a radical thing to say today, that boys and girls are different.
I imagine that.
That boys need well, any engaged parent or teacher will tell you, my son is different than my daughter. But we are unapologetically Christian, and we focus on boys. Because there's just not many people doing that anymore. Right. And we talk about the proven process of the way that we're approaching boys and helping to mature them into godly men. We believe that today boys they're unguided. 1 in 4 boys is being raised in a household without a father. And 78% of teachers are female. So these boys are pretty much around women who are giving great examples of role models of leadership. I mean, single moms are doing a Herculean task in a household. Right. But boys they're not seeing men leading. And so they look at themselves and say, I don't see something like me in leadership. I see a lot of women in leadership, my teachers, but I don't see men in leadership. And so we guide them. We provide those male mentors in the organization. They go through background checks, criminal background checks, child safety, youth protection training. They're part of it. We have over 10,000 volunteers across the country who are serving boys. And then we also think that boys are largely ungrounded today. We say that because it used to be that we had a culture that understood that the Bible had some place in it. Well, now something like 68% of Americans no longer believe that the Bible and God is the basis for morality in our culture. So boys are being raised in this culture. Now, we had it growing up.
Yeah,
we still
absolutely.
have that sense of biblical truths and
connect
absolute
with
truth.
that.
We can still do that.
Yeah.
They're growing up without that. And so they're ungrounded. They don't know, their question is, where are the boundaries? What's right? Can you imagine having to explain to a boy today what right and wrong means? If you don't have a foundation to point back to, well, I don't know, it's right for me, maybe it's not right for you. And all this stuff. It's tough for boys to be in an environment where where the boundaries aren't clear and where the rules aren't clear.
It needs to be a standard.
Yeah. So we're raising a standard, and the Word of God is at the core of what we do in Trail Life USA. We have Christian worldview essentials that we promote and talk that are built into every badge. It's kind of like the carrot and the carrot cake. You're not going to get big chunks of scripture and big chunks of stuff, but in every bite you're going to get something. So we're committed to this. If a parent is interested, or if that matters to them, that it's Christ-centered and boy-focused, then we say, well, then you don't really have a choice. So, but if that doesn't matter to you, go join Boy Scouts. They've been around a long time. There's certain advantages to being part of their program, but if Christ-centered and boy-focused is important to you, those are two huge advantages that make us different.
Yeah, and of course it depends on who you are, I guess, but values is such a key part of all that decision-making process, I would think, and that's what you're talking about, and what do we want for our sons, and we want there to be a Christian base, we want there to be a Christian standard, a biblical standard for them to make decisions about right and wrong, and you guys provide an opportunity for that. I would think the parents who are in that position to be with their sons looking for a place, an organization or an opportunity to grow like that, I think they would be so happy to meet you and to find out about you.
Yeah, they are. We do a survey every year of our membership, and the response we get to them as far as how satisfied. The question we ask, how likely are you to tell somebody about Trail Life? And it is just off the scale, because parents love promoting Trail Life and talking about the difference it's making in their son, because it is making a difference.
What if somebody comes along, just let me play the devil's advocate for just a second, okay? And this is not me, I'm just saying. Somebody comes out of the kind of old school Boy Scout, whatever, troop, post, and he says, well, this is just a watered down version of that, and I don't know if you can ever duplicate that. And what would you say to that?
I would say they're just not familiar with our program.
Okay. Good answer.
We have a robust program. Our highest award is the Freedom Award, and we do allow boys who transfer from Boy Scouts to use some of their advancements towards our badges. So there's some things that are the same. Lighting a fire, camping, hiking, there are certain skills that are the same in both organizations. But we have the faith element built into ours, so not everything transfers over. But a boy can come in as an Eagle Scout, and he can take a good piece of that Eagle Scout and convert it into the Freedom Award. But it took my son about 1.5 years to take his Eagle and convert it to the Freedom Award, because it's a more robust program. Over time, the Eagle has lost a little bit of its luster, and now you see 13, 14-year-old boys getting the Eagle. Yeah. And then they leave the program, and you don't really know who they are. In our program, the Freedom Award, you're not going to get it. You couldn't possibly accomplish it until you're maybe 17 years old at the youngest. And a lot of them get it at 18 as an adult. They get the award for the work they did as a youth. Okay. So, it's a robust awards program. We have we're more cutting edge in terms of adventure. The Boy Scouts has gotten really careful about things like they don't allow squirt guns and water balloons anymore, because they're afraid that boys are going to convert that into some kind of violent activity. And we're like, no, we have an amazing shooting sports program for boys, because we believe that the most dangerous thing is for a boy to run across a gun and not know how to do it. Yeah, and that's where injuries happen. Yeah, but if you can train a boy in handling firearms, managing firearms and things like that, he's going to do the same thing with it. He's going to enjoy it. It's going to be a sport for him. He's not going to take it to school and wreak havoc. Right. It's more likely that those boys that haven't gained an appreciation for this. So those are other differences that you would say, I don't know if that's watered down. I think it's pretty pretty amped up.
It may be ramped up, yeah. And one of the things that I did go to your website, I read about the program a bit before we had a chance to do the interview, and one of the things that began convincing me about how valuable your program is, what would you call it? Is it a program? Is it an association?
Call it a program.
Okay. How valuable it is, and how let me back up and just say, I was wondering if what you would offer would be more classroom study type things, or whether it would be outdoor adventure, learning outdoor skills, how to take care of yourself in the woods, what to do if you're in a almost a desperate situation. What do I do next? Yeah. Learning skills like that. And when I saw that you offer that, and you offer shooting skills, archery, how to light a fire when you're just out and don't have everything that you might need, and even one place on your website had a bridge that was built. It looked like to me out of just natural things, out of logs that were cut and vines that were used to tie the logs together and things like that. And so when I began seeing that, I thought, this is for real, and I was very, very glad to see that and to know that. That adventure part, I think, of the Boy Scout program was what lured me in and kept me there and kept me driving towards the Eagle Achievement and Award, which was a huge, big deal back then, Sure. And I'm glad to see that Trail Life has done its own thing to have that and to teach those skills as well as faith skills. Yeah. So thank you.
Most time when you see our logo, you'll also see 3 words: adventure, character, and leadership. And we focus on those things. Now, the parents love the character and the leadership, but the boys love the adventure. Yeah. And because we're experts on boys, because we're the only ones in the space who still care specifically about boys and have a program designed for them, we understand that a lot of what boys deal with today, the classroom is designed for girls. Sit still, be quiet, pay attention. Boys are just not designed to be that way.
I know.
In fact, Harvard scientists will tell us that boys need to move in order for the brain to be engaged. So they're moving in that classroom. They know intuitively they've got to move in order to learn. So they're saying, if you want my brain, you're going to have to take my body too. But what are the teachers saying? Sit still, be quiet. You must have ADHD. He doesn't. He's a boy, for gosh sakes. Right. So we understand what makes up a boy. We know that they need risk and competition. In our culture today, we've taken a lot of that out. Oh, man. It's like everybody gets a trophy, nobody keeps score. The boys say, why even try?
Yeah, everybody wins.
Yeah, everybody wins. So why even try? Yeah. And that's why we see this horrible failure to launch in our culture today, because we have a generation of boys who weren't allowed to win. They weren't given the opportunity of failing and then coming back and trying harder and succeeding. So they get outside the household, fail, and the first thing, they run home again. There's more young men living at home than have been living at home since they started counting it in 1960 in the census. Yeah. Because we have this failure to launch, because we haven't allowed boys to win. We haven't allowed them to lose and then recover and fail. Boys need to learn to do hard things. And, they're encouraged in it. They've got a troop, they've got a team, they've got a patrol, whatever. They're all working hard towards these goals, but they learn that they can do hard things. Yeah. So when real life comes at them, when there's no longer adults standing around saying everybody gets a trophy and it's going to be okay. When I got my first job, it wasn't everybody get a trophy. You didn't get a check unless you worked.
That's right. That's right.
So that's the trophy in the workplace, is a check. So we're teaching boys that in order to develop in a strong, godly man, you're gonna be challenged with things, and that challenge is what brings boys to life. They love challenge. You got 2 5-year-old boys come up and ask you if they can go to the water fountain. Your yes is like firing a starter's pistol. I mean, they're off and running. Right. Boys are drawn to competition and risk, and so we take advantage of that in Trail Life. And so we're very robust in terms of our awards program and our outdoors. I'll tell our troop leaders, if the boys walk into your troop meeting and it looks like a school or a Sunday school, if you got a bunch of chairs and desks, that's what they do, you've already lost them. Because boys have fallen behind in every single academic category because the schools are designed for girls. Sit still, be quiet, pay attention. So I tell them, get the chairs out of the room, throw a bunch of Legos or something on the ground, let the boys engage themselves with that while you're talking to them. Wow. Yeah. Because that's powerful for boys. Yep. They're tactical, they need that movement, they need that motion. They'll learn. they're listening. They just don't look like they're listening in the traditional sense that we want, which is give me eye contact.
Right.
And we live in a world, Jim, where if you watch a football game or you watch the news or you go to your phone, we're not just communicating on one channel anymore. Watch a football game. They're telling you the score, the downs, the yards, across the bottom. They're telling you your fantasy football thing. There's all kinds of... So this is the world that boys have been raised in.
Yeah.
All this stuff coming at them at once. Then we sit them in a classroom and say, listen to one channel. Listen to one... Well, it's no wonder we're telling them they have ADHD because they're looking for other stimuli. Squirrel. Yeah. I mean,
no, right.
They're reacting to everything around them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things, Ann and I mentioned to you, we have a counseling and life coaching ministry, a center. And one of the things we see all the time, we see so much, and even with adults, but especially with young people who come in for help, they're doing the video thing constantly when they're not in class. And so we know that that's become a huge distraction. Yeah. It's become a kind of a putting your brain on hold a little bit. Not to say that there can't be good come out of gaming, but the stimulation from outdoors and from the faith perspective to me is so important.
It is.
Get me outside, for crying out loud, and give me something to do.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge thing. Now let me ask you this. I'm a dad. I've got some kids. How old must a young person be before they're eligible to become a part of your program?
We start in kindergarten and go all the way through the 12th grade.
Okay, like around 5-ish or
yeah,
something.
And it's all done in one troop. Now we have different units within the troop. We have a Woodlands Trail, which is elementary age boys, and we have the Navigators, which is the middle grade, and then we have high school boys that are adventurers. And so they'll start out the meeting together, but then they'll go into the separate programs. Obviously, the Woodlands Trail, the younger boys are working. They're focusing on knowledge. They're learning information about the outdoors.
Okay.
Then the middle grade boys are focused on understanding. This all comes out of Proverbs in the Bible.
Sure.
They're working on understanding, just the application of the knowledge. And then the older boys in the adventures, they're actually running their own program. So they're learning wisdom.
Right.
They're learning how to wisely take the knowledge and the understanding and use it in the outdoors.
Yeah.
So they're doing all their planning. They're running the meeting. They're standing in front of the meeting. And where else do boys get to stand in front and lead something positive, other than a gang? But they get to lead something positive.
Yeah.
And boys that's where they get the leadership skills. Is they may lead a patrol. They may lead their entire unit. They're going to work together to plan the food for their trip. What path are they going to take? Where are they going to find water sources? Where are they going to camp?
Wow.
What materials they need? Or service project, how we're going to serve the community. They plan those things. And it's amazing to watch a group of high school kids making these decisions together. And then the adults sit back and just watch. And that's part of that maturation process that boys aren't getting, because we just take care of them at every step of the way, and they don't get a chance to try something themselves or to think about what can happen. So.
Yeah. Well, when I was in scouting, we had a camp out in the woods or the lake or someplace once a month.
Yep.
And so most guys who come out of that background have experienced that. So how often would you take these guys out and just outdoors into the outdoors to experience in real time things that you've been teaching them?
Yeah, our troops are they're camping once a month.
Okay,
yeah,
same kind of thing.
And then in the summer they do what's called a summer adventure.
Oh, okay.
Now in the Boy Scouts, it was like a merit badge factory.
Yeah.
You go and you get a bunch of badges. We don't do that. They earn their badges throughout the year. The summer is to exercise all that knowledge. I remember going to a Boy Scout camp with my sons and sitting at a picnic table and seeing this lake and these sailboats and these canoes and all these things on the shore. And I'm sitting at a picnic table with my sons as a 15-year-old is teaching them traffic safety so that they can get the badge. And that was what it was. See how many badges you can get in that week. We don't do that.
Yeah.
The summer adventures, take the skills that you've learned and you go out. And that's why we have troops doing, from Alaska trips to wilderness trips to long hikes, 50-mile hikes on the Appalachian Trail or out west. They're conquering these 14er mountains. They're doing this robust stuff because they're not trying to earn badges. They're trying to take the skills they've learned and go use them in the outdoors.
Yeah.
So it's a powerful thing. Great experiences the boys are having.
How would you say that those outdoor skills? Maybe we've already covered it. I'm not sure, but how do they help a person become more successful, if you want to use that term, to be a better person, better in whatever profession they end up choosing to enter? How do those skills come in?
That's a great question. There's very little. They're saying that this is the first generation being raised by Google. If you want to know something, you just ask Siri.
Yeah.
But you can't ask Siri how to start a fire with wet leaves. But you go out in the woods and you're camping, and you have an adult mentor who shows you how to do that. We're kind of leveling the playing field between adults and the boys, because now the adult kind of gets to be the expert again. And boys are learning skills that the other boys don't have. So they may come home after a weekend or 3 days out hiking or something like that, and they've just climbed a mountain. How many kids in the school have climbed a mountain? And they may have whitewatered something, or they may have gone primitive camping where they had to go out and dig their own toilets and hike and find their own water and purify their water. Who's doing that? So the boys get this heightened sense of, I know stuff that other boys don't know. And I did hard things. The first night it rained, and I was tired and body hurt. And the second day, I worked harder, and the water source wasn't where we thought it was going to be. We had to come up with another plan. And the third day, we saw the peak. And I stood there and I said, I just did something really hard. Yeah. That's huge for a boy, because in his life, he's going to encounter those things. Yeah. That's why I said the failure to launch. Our boys learn that they encounter something difficult. You don't quit and go home. You say, okay, how do I manage this? That's a huge skill to have.
Well, there are thinking skills there. Their creativity that you use.
Teamwork,
there's this idea.
Yes,
absolutely. Teamwork. There's the idea, don't give up, keep going. God provides options. Just look and see what our options are here,
And where are they learning that? They're not learning it in other places.
No,
everything
they don't.
is laid out for them, because we don't want to hurt their self-esteem by making them think that they don't know, they can't do something.
Yeah.
I believe if we're not careful, we're going to raise a generation of unproductive narcissists. They're unproductive because we don't expect anything of them.
Right.
And they're narcissists because we haven't let them fail. And so in trail life, we let boys fail. We let them do something hard. If they came to the camp out and they didn't bring an extra pair of socks, it's like, man, that's a lesson you're going to learn today, because your socks are wet and now you're going to have blisters, and we're going to take care of first aid. You're going to be fine.
Sure.
But I guarantee you're not going to forget it. Mom's not going to drive up here in the mountain and give you your pair of socks. So they learn to be independent, learn to be responsible for and think ahead and do their planning. Whereas in our culture today, it's like, don't worry, somebody will fix it for you when you get there.
So should if I have a son that I want to be involved, and he has decided that he would like to do the trail life thing, what's the next step? Do we get you on your website, and do we get a local kind of troop or organization? How would a person do that?
Yeah, we at our website, traillifeusa.com, Trail Life, 2 L's in the middle. There's a Get Connected tab. It shows a map of the United States. You can put in your zip code, your address, your city, and it'll show you the troops that are in your area, and you click on it and you connect with that troop. Say, I'd like to be a member. You can't just show up. We do protect our troops. They know who's coming in advance. If there isn't a troop, then there's also a tab that says Start a Troop, and that walks you through the process of working with a church. It takes 5 adult leaders in order to start a troop. It doesn't take any boys, because if you got the leaders, the boys will come out of the woodwork. It's interesting, Jim, that when the troops begin the process, we ask them, how many boys do you anticipate having in your troop? And they'll usually say around 20. On the first night, they'll have 40 or more.
Oh, really? Wow.
Parents and boys are looking for this opportunity to be part of something like this. So it's really, there's never a shortage of boys for the program. If anything, it's a shortage of leaders, of men who are convicted, convinced, called to do something about this next generation.
Wow. What a powerful thing, and a great opportunity for a lot of young boys who are coming up wanting to be good, strong men, So would you say that Trail Life is it a Christian organization, or is it like a program or an organization that has a Christian base? How do you say that?
We're not an outdoor organization that has sort of a Christian skin.
Okay.
We are at our core a ministry with the purpose of growing boys into godly men.
All right.
But we just happen to think that the best way to grow boys into godly men is to put boys around godly men in a male-centric environment by offering adventure and opportunity for growth and robust opportunity, taking them away from their digital world. We think that's the best place to grow boys into godly men. If there was another way to grow boys into godly men, I would be doing that. But this adventure element is huge. This outdoor element is huge. It's a male-centric environment. Men in the outdoors, around a fire, hiking, camping, those kind of things, is a place where boys it's like rocket fuel on the growth of a boy.
Yeah. What a great place to experience the presence of God than the outdoors, right? His creation. Mark, what else would you like to bring into the conversation before we call it a day?
Well, I'd love to invite your listeners to pray for boys.
Okay.
You know, as I started out saying, they're unguided, they're ungrounded, they're unappreciated. We think boys and girls are the same when they're not. Boys have their own specific strengths, and so do girls. They need a program aimed at them. And they're also uninspired because we've taken risk in competition. Pray for boys. They need to be guided. They need to be grounded. They need to be appreciated. They need to be inspired. And when you put those things together, it's magic. And when you do it in a Christian context, an unapologetic Christian context where the boys are constantly running into Scripture, it's not Sunday school in the outdoors. It's not like you're getting hit with a Bible verse every time. But it's throughout the entire program. All of the men sign a statement of faith and a statement of values, so that they are there to minister. But pray for boys because we need more men to step up, go to their church leadership and say, we need to be doing this in our church. Yeah. And that's the way we change the next generation, is by raising these boys into godly men. Well,
I agree, and a lot of thousands and thousands of people would agree with you as well. Can a troop be started outside of a church, or is that the medium through which the Trail Life?
We consider ourselves an outreach of the local church.
Okay.
So we're because we think the church is plan A for growing boys into godly men.
Okay.
But we provide an instrument for those churches to take the boys in the church and the boys in community and turn them into godly men. So 99% of our troops, I would say, are through traditional churches that agree with our statement of faith and our statement of values. The other outliers would be homeschool co-ops that are a legal organization that have a statement of faith that agrees with ours. Homeschool organization. We have a Christian gun club in Texas that charters a troop because they have a statement of faith, and so they qualify. Yeah. Well, they had this gun club, but they were looking to do They were looking to add the award element to what it is that they're doing. So now, they do their shooting activities, and then they also earn these awards. And we have values badges around how to be a family man, personal resources, all those things to help boys. They're really educated across a number of different frontiers to learn and grow. So primarily churches. They have to have some sort of a legal standing, and they have to have a Christian statement of faith and agree with others.
Okay. Well, you've been very articulate today in sharing with us, what you're about when it comes to the Trail Life ministry, and I've answered all my questions, at least for now, and I know you have a plane to catch, and so you need to get out of here. But let me just give a parting word to people who are watching. Some of you have boys that you would like to really put in an environment where they can grow strong, healthy, godly. Don't know of a better place to do that outside of the local church that you mentioned, but as a part of that, Trail Life. And so look them up online, find out a little bit more about it, and become a part of the program. What an opportunity. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Have a great day. Mark, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Jim.
Really appreciate you.
What you're doing. Good questions.
Thank you. I hope I haven't kept you too long today. Can I keep these?
Play. Sure.
Okay, good deal.
Oh, we're good. Good. Thanks.
You are welcome. Catch that plane, all right?
Yeah.
Take care.
Atlanta, say goodbye.